YouTube? Welcome back to Guitar Vocalist, the channel that's all about singing and playing guitar at the same time and just being a self-reliant, confident musician. So if you're new here and you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. It's a great way to support the channel so I can keep putting out more content. Today we're going to be talking about how to sing for the absolute beginners. So you probably want to sing but you've never really done it. Maybe you've been shy and you just don't really actually technically know where to begin. All you know is you're trying to sing, but it doesn't come out sounding the way you want. Maybe you've heard a recording of yourself and you're like embarrassed at what you hear. That's definitely how it started for me. So yeah, we're just going to be talking about how to do it. Now this video is going to be catered for the absolute beginner, but if you've already been singing, maybe give it a listen, because what if you're not doing this stuff? You know, then it might be a pretty big wake-up call to just kind of go back to basics. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the time when we're trying to learn something like singing, we have all of these cliche things that we kind of ignore because everybody types it and we just say, yeah, I'm doing that, you know, support with your diaphragm. Yeah, I'm supporting with my diaphragm, don't worry, right? But you're not actually thinking about, are you really supporting with your diaphragm, right? And there's all these things like that, sing with an open throat, and they're like, yeah, I yawn when I sing, we're good, right? But there's a lot more to these things than mastering them, and that's why I urge you, even if you're not an absolute beginner, to think about the very, very, very basics. Because singing, more than just about anything I can think of, requires you to have the basic foundation before you can move ahead to the next level. So with that being said, we're just going to begin with the very, very first thing, and this is all about pitch and vowels. Most people start with breath support. We'll get there. First, I want to talk about pitch and vowels and musicality. Basically how to think like a musician. So if you have a phrase that you want to sing, right? I'm gonna just use the phrase, and tonight I'm living free, just as an example. So you want to sing this phrase. Well, first let's just try and say it. And tonight I'm living free, right? And tonight I'm living free. Okay, now if you want to be expressive with it, you could also say, and tonight I'm living free, right? Or you could be like, and tonight I'm living free. You could really go in many different ways with it, and it's the same thing with singing. You can sing it softly, you can sing lots of dynamics, you can sing hard, but you need to first think about how to do it musically, which means you have to sing it to a pitch. And the thing is, when you're singing something to a pitch, what you're singing to a pitch is never the consonant of any word, it's a vowel. We're always singing on a vowel, because if you take the consonants and d, okay, that's a consonant, right? And tonight I'm living free, d. And you can't draw out that d sound. You can't be like d, like you can't d, right? If you do d, then it's actually the vowel. It's not the d, because that's a consonant. So everything we sing is actually on a vowel. So if you're singing and tonight, it's actually and that's the thing you could draw out, because you could draw out and but you can't draw out the D. All you could draw out is and from the word and, right? You have to draw out the vowel. So you have to always be thinking about what vowel is in the words of the phrase you're gonna sing. Now let's first, before we identify the vowels, let's just identify the pitch. So I'm gonna sing it like this with C, D, and E. Don't worry about that if you don't know about chords and stuff, but for those of you that do, you can follow along like this. So the way I'm going to sing it is, instead of saying, and tonight I'm living free, I'm gonna say it to a pitch. And tonight I'm living free. Sounds kind of silly, right? And tonight I'm living free. I'm just saying the syllables to a pitch, but it sounds silly. But if I draw out those vowels, it doesn't sound so silly. And tonight I'm living free. Right? It sounds pretty normal then. That's because I'm drawing out a few vowels, and in between them I'm putting in the consonant. Now try this first. Try and just do only the vowels. So let's identify them. And tonight. So and So it's just and, right? I'm adding the consonant at the end to make the word happen, but really all I'm singing is the And tonight. So that's oo and I. So ooh, ah, ooh, ah. That's the two I'm singing. And tonight I'm living free. Hey, ooh, ah, eh. So that's just the actual vowels. Hey, ooh, ah, eh. You hear how I'm putting out only the just 3 or 4 vowels in there, the entire thing. And then I can just add in the consonant. And tonight I'm living free. Now, that is the first part. That's the basic of how actual singing works in terms of the theory. Now, if you're not paying attention to vowels, and especially when you're going up higher like that free, that's on an E4, you're starting to enter your call register, and up there you have to be able to actually modify your vowels if you want to make it up higher into your voice. So if you're singing on free, it's an E vowel. The E vowel is really thin and difficult to sing up there, and you want to open up and sing an easier vowel like eh. You want to modify to that. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the basics of vowel modifications because there's a lot of those, and at this point, if you're an absolute beginner, you're not there yet. But keep in mind that as you go higher, one of the reasons you can't do it is because you actually have to modify the vowel. So I'm not actually singing, and tonight I'm living free. I'm singing, I'm living free, kind of. So, and tonight I'm living free. But I'm kind of adding free. Ooh, and tonight I'm living free. The is much easier to sing. And here's the E in comparison. Ooh, and tonight I'm living free. I'm really strained here, and it like starts to feel like I'm choking on a vowel. So that's another thing to consider. So these are all my arguments for why you should think about vowels and pitch right away. Now, after you've done this, you need to start thinking about your actual technique. And the very first thing you gotta do, I already talked about it a bit, and this is where most people start, and this is breath support. Okay? Breath support means supporting with your breath. So if you're gonna be drawing out these vowels, that means you're doing it in a way that you wouldn't naturally do if you're just speaking. When you're speaking, you can kind of speak at the tip of your breath like this. I exhaled. Try this with me. Like, just exhale and then try and speak. Hey, I'm speaking right now. I kind of feel like I want to take a breath. It's kind of hard. Right? You really have to do that. With speaking, you can get away with much less breath support because you're not drawing out vowels. You have a lot more consonants. But with singing, you have to be able to have a deep breath and a lot of support on the way you exhale it. So just take a deep breath with your abdomen, and you have to feel your abdomen expand, and you have to feel your diaphragm drop, which allows for your lungs to drop down. It pulls your lungs down to expand with air. And you have to actually feel this all the way down into the muscles that you go to the bathroom with, and also just kind of your stomach muscles. So an easy way to do is think about something that you like the smell of, and just take a deep breath. Right? Something you really like the smell of. And that's how you know how to take a full breath. And then also think of like if you're fighting like in a dojo, like karate or something, if you're letting out a punch, you do something like hua, hua, right? That's the same muscles you need for that are the ones you're gonna constantly, with a controlled stream of air, let out your breath with. So with our phrase that right now I was doing, let's try it. And tonight I'm living free. Right? So I took a deep breath, and then I felt my abdomen expand, my diaphragm dropped, and I squeezed with the same muscles I would kind of punch someone with, or the same muscles I go to the bathroom with. That's the same muscles I use. Play with that, but those are the basics of breath support. And another way you can try and train this is just do vowel exercises, or just do humming, or even just letting out a sustained stream of air. You could also start lower if that's too high for you. And just feel how it's engaging. Feel when you're squeezing, feel when you're straining, make sure you're not straining. Which leads me to point number 3, the last point of how to sing for an absolute beginner. You need to construct a well-rounded sound that you like, and you need to avoid strain while doing it. It's a trade-off between doing all of these basic things correctly, where you have the right pitch, you singing the vowels, and you have breath support, but you also have to have a sound that you like that sounds good, but you got to achieve it without straining. So it's just a lot of things done well together. But before we go on, I'm just curious, maybe you could post in the comments below, what causes you the most strain while singing? Like in what ways do you feel strain? And for me, one of the things that's common is choking on the higher vowels, where I feel like I need to use my throat to sing rather than my stomach. For example, with free right here, if I sing it on the E, if I say, "Ooh, and tonight I'm living free," I can feel it being much harder than free than the E vowel. So a few kind of beginner tips to help avoid strain is to sing in a mid-yawn. Sing like this kind of, but not sounding super stupid, but with a mid-yawn. And you need to basically get your tongue out of the way, open your throat, and let your larynx hang low, your voice box, by yawning. So just yawn. You can feel that your voice box dropped, and then you're opening up the chamber with which you can vocalize that way. And you want to try and keep that open. And if you ever feel strain or anything like that, just stop, take a step back, and just introspect. Think about, what am I not doing right? Make a little checklist for yourself. So a little exercise for this well-rounded sound, open throat, is doing like an over-exaggerated opera singer. So, you know, someone that's like, la 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 la, something crazy like that. So I'm gonna just try with these same notes. Ooh, and tonight I'm living free. Right, it sounds kind of silly, but after a while you'll find the sweet spot where you're still kind of opening your throat, but sounding good and not straining. So, and tonight I'm living free. Still sounds kind of silly. And tonight I'm living free. And you just play with that all the time so you can have a slightly open throat while you're singing. So that's it. That's the very basics. If I knew nothing about singing and somebody asked me, how do you start? I would basically run them through what I just talked about right here. Let me know if you have any questions. Just post down below in the comments. Just let me know. Maybe you have your own tips for what helped you start singing. Also, maybe you can post if you thought you were doing some of these things, but maybe you weren't doing them in depth. That's the trap I fell in for many years. So I kind of said, yeah, I'm not really straining, but I kind of was. And I said, oh, I have breath support, but I kind of didn't. And then I said, I didn't. I tried to speak the words rather than sing them on a vowel. Was another problem I had. So you need to try and think about all these things. So have a session where you just kind of manage these things, and maybe post down below what are your challenges, how's it going for you. And if you want to see more content, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll just keep trying to put more videos out. So thanks a lot, guys. Until next time.